I am privileged to invite our next alumni speaker, Maanasa Gopal. Maanasa Gopal studied in the Chemical Engineering Department of SRM IST Katangalatur and graduated with first class and distinction in the year 2018. During her study in SRM, she has received a special merit scholarship for all 4 years of her education. During her undergrad, she was selected to intern under various scholarship programs, including conservation of coral reefs under East Africa, detection of carcinogens in Sydney's water supply system under UWS Australia, granular material properties under SRFP scholarship with the director of IIT Bombay, and biomaterial design under the NTU India Connect Scholarship Program, Singapore. Following her graduation, she got placed full-time as a biochemistry researcher and soon planned to venture in the startup space. She is also chosen under the highly selective Entrepreneur Class 2021 visa program in Singapore, aimed at encouraging young entrepreneurs to register startups in Singapore and contribute to the economy. This year, Maanasa has been selected to represent India on the International Antarctic Expedition 2021. She is the first young Indian to step into all the 7 continents. With all these things, I just invite Maanasa Gopal to give her alumni talk and to inspire us juniors.
Hi everyone, I'm Maanasa Gopal, and I did my bachelor's at SRM in chemical engineering between 2014 to 2018. And during my time at SRM, I did a bunch of internships abroad. The first one was in East Africa. The second one was at IIT Bombay under the SRFP scholarship program. Then I did one at University of Western Sydney, Australia. And lastly at NTU, under the NTU India Connect Scholarship Program. So simultaneously, while I was taking up all of these internship opportunities, I was also backpacking and traveling and exploring different parts of the world. And some of my experiences include hitchhiking across from the south to north of Iran, walking between different countries in Southern Africa, like Zimbabwe and Zambia, backpacking across Southeast Asia, living in a farm in Europe, and other experiences to add to that. And soon I will be joining the International Antarctic Expedition for Climate Change early next year, where I'll also be representing Team India. So in today's talk, I want to talk about how I got opportunities abroad while I was still at SRM, and how I traveled as well as funded my journeys, and the lessons I learned. There is no non-cliche way of saying it, but there were a couple of lessons that I learned, which was great. So during my third year, most of my friends at that point of time had figured out where they wanted to get their jobs, where they wanted to do their masters, and what exact plans they had for their lives. And it felt like if there was a race of life and everybody knew where exactly they wanted to run, and I had no direction at all in life. And this made me super anxious and super stressed and super nervous in general. That's when I realized something, that you don't really need to have everything figured out, but it really helps to have something that you're passionate about, even if what you're passionate about does not bring you any money. When I say you should figure out what you're passionate about, it's not something you want to do for the rest of your life. It could be something that you see yourself interested in doing for the next 5 years or the next 2 years. So in my case, it was travel. I wanted to travel really bad. I wanted to travel to different places. I wanted to see different countries. I wanted to understand what a normal day in life of somebody who lives outside India looks like. I wanted to experience different cultures, and I wanted to make new friends. But there was a problem. I didn't really have enough money to execute this, and I didn't really have a plan. And that helped me realize something else. Everything that you need to know can be found on the internet. And having this realization helped me realize my biggest strength. I was good at Googling. So I Googled every day. I used to come back from university and sit in Google for 3 to 4 hours every day. Every day I learned something new. And the more number of days that I ended up Googling, the more better I got at figuring out what are the search terms that I need to use if I wanted to get something. So that's where I ended up with paid internships abroad. I started understanding what people around me and what people in the world were doing to get to go abroad for the first time and get paid for it. And the easiest solution that I found was getting internships, which also pay you, because it was a great opportunity where you could be paid to be in a foreign country. And if you save enough, you can travel to nearby countries. So my hours of Googling could be condensed into this. There were different ways in which you can get paid internships abroad. First being internship programs, and some internship programs that I can just think of on the top of my head are, if you want to go to Canada, you can try Middax Global Link. If you want to go to anywhere in Europe, you can try DAD. If you want to go more east towards Japan, you can try OIST. And if you want to go to, say, Singapore, you can try the NTU India Connect. And I pretty much got rejected for everything here except the NTU India Connect program, which I also got initially rejected for. And there are other opportunities as well. These are just some I've covered, but there are these type of internship programs that are catered sometimes specifically towards Indian students and sometimes specifically towards women in Taiwan, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and US. And the second way in which you can get an internship abroad is to have direct internships. In direct internships, you basically go to the university's website, find your department in that university or something similar to that, and you email the professor of that university a direct email. You have a better shot at getting this if SRM has a partnership with that university. And SRM has partnerships with many different universities all around the world. And this is how I got my third internship in Australia with University of Western Sydney. And the last two are kind of unconventional ways, but all of the methods that I'm saying here, I at least know like 2 to 3 people in the world from India who have done this and have succeeded. Hackathons. Hackathons are great because first you win prize money and you have enough money to probably fund other things that you want to do. And second, a lot of hackathons offer a job opportunity to the winning teams. And the last is open source contributions, which is more geared towards computer science fields, but these days it's coming more towards hard tech research as well. One such is Google Summer of Code, where you can contribute, and this probably could lead to a full-time job opportunity later. And if you asked if I tried all 4 of it, I actually tried all 4 of these options, not once, not twice, but 196 times. And it wasn't that I was writing the same email to everyone and I was just pressing send or submit. Each of these emails, I would take hours to do this. So I would first figure out who I'm addressing it to, then I would craft my cover letter according to them. Then I would change the keywords on my resume so that it matches the automatic resume scanner of the company. And then I would go and connect with the people on LinkedIn who work in those companies. And then I would try to like message them and be like, hey, I'm applying for this, blah, blah, blah. And then I would like click submit on my applications or emails. And the sad reality was I actually got rejected 189 times out of the times that I've applied. And it made me realize something, that when you're interested in something, it never feels like a chore. Not once did I wake up and be like, yeah, I got rejected 100 times, I'm giving up. Every single day I woke up super excited because I had a larger goal. I wanted to travel the world, and this was my ticket to that. So every day I woke up super excited because every single rejection means somewhere there could be an acceptance that could get me what I really wanted. But there were a couple of things that I didn't figure out. One was, what about money? And that comes to the second part. So there were 2 different ways in which I was able to make money while I was in SRM. One was scholarships. SRM has a lot of scholarship opportunities, and one such scholarship they had is the Special Merit Scholarship, which I also found because I read every single line in SRM's website on all pages, and I found this. So in Special Merit Scholarship, if you have extracurricular activities and you had a good GPA, you get money every single year. And that was one way. And the other was doing part-time jobs. So I tried different part-time jobs, like working part-time for technology companies to trying to sell different things. But one thing that worked out for me was taking math, physics, and chemistry tuitions. I started off for school students. I started off initially with just 1 student, but as like time went by and my teachings got better, I was able to get more students as well. And my peak income was probably in my fourth year, mid of fourth year, where I used to make about 80,000 rupees every month, which at that point of time was a bit higher than what I could have made if I took up a full-time job. I was also working like a full-time job. I used to go to university. I was a day scholar. So I used to go to university at 6 in the morning, 6:45. I used to take the bus and then come back at 6. And then I used to work from 6 to 10 taking tuitions. And then Saturdays and Sundays as well, I did the same. I didn't go for any movies. I didn't spend my money on clothes. I didn't buy anything. In fact, I took up minimalism while I was in SRM. So all of this helped me save a lot of money. And it also helped me not only fund tickets to my internship, but also fund my travels while I was in SRM and after SRM till I got a job. So then I realized something, that financial independence buys freedom. I mean, there is no easy way of saying this. There are so many people who love you, like your friends, your family, your parents, your siblings. And when you have financial independence, it can convince them that you probably know what you're doing. And it also helps you buy things that you otherwise can't. And this is like a favorite quote of mine. Money may not buy happiness, but it buys a better quality of misery. I could be the most excited person in the world about traveling, but unless I could afford it, I couldn't do it. So having a bit of money for myself helped me feel more confident in general about myself and also go after traveling. And here are some pictures from during my internship. So this is, I worked as a cucumber farmer while I was in Mauritius. Then this is from University of Western Sydney, where I worked as a researcher. This is when during my backpacking times across Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. This was taken in Da Nang, which is in the middle of Vietnam. And this was a picture of me with my entire luggage in South Korea. So everything seemed going good until worry started setting in my fourth year. In the second semester especially, I hadn't really figured out how I was going to get a job. And I had all these internships, I had all this travel that I had done, but I didn't really have a plan for my life. And I expected myself to have an existential crisis like this dog. But I actually was surprisingly calm about it. And the reason why I was so calm at that point of time was because when I told people that, yeah, I was going to get all of these internships abroad and I didn't really have any network, it didn't really seem that believable. And now if I were to tell that, yeah, I'm going to get a job abroad, but I'm not going to do a master's, it's not going to seem believable. And that's okay. Because the only person who needs to believe in yourself, it's you. So I tried to apply for the NTU India Connect Scholarship Program because my plan at that point was that I really wanted to work in Singapore. It gave a lot of benefits because it's really an ideal country, as well as it had so much safety for women, which is something I really cherish. So I applied for the NTU India Connect Scholarship Program and I actually got rejected. And at that point of time, I just thought to myself, what's the worst that can happen after rejection? So I wrote a very angry email to the director of the program, telling him exactly why I deserve to be selected. And I just went to sleep. And the next day I was having a sleepover with a friend. And the morning I woke up and I actually got an acceptance from this program. And like I wanted, I was able to convert this into a full-time job where I currently work. So I thought, okay, cool. I've now secured it and that is it. But there is more to come. But before that, I just want to say a small intersection. I converted my internship into a full-time job. And in most cases, converting your internship into a full-time job is the most straightforward and practical way. But if that's not something that works for you, there are other different ways you can do it. So with like COVID, remote and digital nomad jobs are becoming more and more popular. One such website you can find more information on is Remote OK. Then from your network. I know countless people who have gotten a job at DHL Germany or institutes in France because they knew a professor or a senior who worked there. The next is conferences and giving talks. So for example, if you code well in Python, then you can give like PyCon talks. And it also doubles up as a networking event where you can probably hand out your resumes and I do know people who have had success with that as well. And the last thing is SRM has semester abroad programs. So if you do end up going on any of these programs, then you can actually convert it into a full-time job by attending jobs and career fairs in those countries. One small thing or a pattern that I noticed was I was getting more responses from countries where a percentage of population spoke English or a lot of people spoke English. When I applied to countries that where people didn't really speak English and I was required to speak for another language. For example, I applied in Czechia and I didn't speak Czech, and that was one of the requirements. So it really helps to apply more towards countries where they accept English as the main jobs language. So I got a job. I had moved to Singapore. I was living the life of my dreams, but I still had a big dilemma. The dilemma was that I was getting job offers from industries where I could have been paid 2 times more than I could have been in research. And I was having major FOMO as well. I was like, wait, am I missing out? Am I not climbing the corporate ladder well? What if I just get stuck in this role? And that's kind of when I also realized competition is for losers. The only competition you need to have is with yourself. You need to prioritize what your plan is. Everything will go according to your plan. Other people may not understand that this is all a part of your plan, and it's okay. You don't need to compete yourself with everybody's plans because people's plans are unique. And in my case, ever since I was in my 3rd year or 4th year, I was kind of sure that I wasn't gonna go for a 9-to-5 job, and I wanted to do a startup, and I also wanted to take a gap year. So something that could have helped in both of these scenarios is having enough money to quit your job, as well as enough time to work on startup ideas. That fixed like a jigsaw puzzle with the job that I worked in. I really loved biochemistry. I loved biology, and I wanted to explore it while I was young. Great, I had that. Then I wanted to explore the world, and I had that too because the job that I have is pretty relaxed, as well as I had more flexibility while taking vacations. Before the pandemic hit, I could travel to up to 1 to 2 different countries every single month. And it gave me, and all of this free time gave me enough space to work on other ideas. I picked up coding, I picked up gymnastics, I started roller skating again. All of these things gave me enough space to be creative. And I recently also got the Entrepass, which is a selective visa from the Singaporean government, which lets people from all over the world to establish companies within Singapore or register companies from abroad based out of Singapore. And I will be joining my startup full-time soon. Now, there are other ways in which you can probably move to different countries. In most cases, you probably should be employed by yourself. Like Portugal has a visa program called the D7 visa, where if you have a couple hundred euros that you can show per month of your living expense, you can actually move to Portugal. US has other visa paths apart from H1B, which is the Einstein visa or the Owen visa, where if you have a startup that is fully backed, you have press and you've judged competitions and a bunch more different nuances, you probably get the Owen visa. Or like in France as well, there are different type of visas that are available, and more countries are trying to encourage these kind of visas so that they can bring talent in. So the last and final thing that I want to talk about is make full use of the naivety of your youth. As we grow up, we become less stupid and we become more wise. And this prevents us from taking risks in life. And this is not just the mentality I'm talking about, it's more practical. Like I've done the math, like once you grow older, you probably might have commitments such as kids or aging parents, or you have debt or something else that you have to take care of. And also you probably will lose out energy with time. And you will end up making more rational decisions. And rational decisions are great. I make rational decisions, but you end up making less impulsive decisions. And sometimes impulsive decisions are the best. Here are some of my impulsive decisions. I decided that I wanted to travel across Iran Obviously, my parents had a heart attack when I told this, but I pulled it off, and I actually lived out of the generosity of people. I traveled from the south of Iran all the way up to north of Iran, and I hitchhiked across the way. And this is a photo of a lovely family that I met at the airport who decided to host me. And that's me in Persepolis. Then this is one in Botswana, which is a country in the southern African continent where Indians have to get a visa beforehand. But I managed to get a local help and convince the immigration that I need to be let in because I'm already in the border of Botswana. This is me when I was walking between Zimbabwe and Zambia, which was an amazing experience. And this is another picture of a huge dinner at a beautiful German farm. And here's me busking on the streets of South Africa, and this is me trying out shooting an AK-47. Like a more popular phrase that's used is YOLO, you only live once. But something that kind of really changed my perspective in general was YOLT, you only live twice. The day you were born and the day you realize you only live once. So make impulsive decisions, but always have a backup plan. And one last thing, if you wanna email me about serious stuff, you can email me at manasa.sg@gmail.com. But if you want to have more chill conversations, you can message me on Instagram at @nomad_on_budget. Thanks. Any questions?
Hi, Manasa. So I wanted to ask, you mentioned that you used to send across a personalized email to people when you were applying for jobs. So I've been doing that as well, and I was wondering, is it rude to find somebody's email and cold email them out of the blue if I'm applying for a job?
I don't think that it's rude at all. I mean, you're a student and you want an opportunity and you're going after it. And if people want to respond to it, they're going to respond to it. And if that is actually rude, then I would have been rude 100 times when I was in my undergrad, because I used to cold email a lot. And one of those cold emails was actually how I got my internship in Australia. And another cold email was the angry email that I had written when I didn't get selected for that program, which also got me that. So it may not work out like all the times that you try, but it's gonna work out. You just keep trying and don't give up. It's possible. Like, you know, with like COVID kind of stabilizing, more countries are opening up. And I am certainly seeing a lot of people who are traveling to do internships or take up job opportunities.
Okay. I'm definitely going to try this out. And thank you so much for taking out the time to do this.
Okay, I got another question. Can you please share some financial advice and how to invest and grow your money? Some tips to generate passive income. First of all, disclaimer, I'm not giving any financial advice to anyone. But there are different ways to make money while you're in university. And one thing is that when you have enough money to probably like sustain yourself, it gives you the mental space to concentrate on other things you want to focus on in life. So that really helps. And you don't really need to wait till you get your first full-time job to start making money. While you're in SRM, you actually have so much free time, and you'll probably realize this once you graduate. You have to, I know you have like a lot of classes, I understand that, but like you're also more like creative while you're younger. So there are like different ways on which you have to do it. In my case, as I mentioned, I tried different part-time jobs in companies, but it didn't really work out for me because like the pressure was too much and I wasn't able to do it on my own terms. So then I tried to like sell stuff, but like beyond a point, it also like takes up a lot of your time. So the thing that worked for me was to take tuitions, but you can definitely find like different opportunities. I mean, like I know one girl who actually worked at Pizza Hut while she was working on her startup. So that's something you can do. Another thing is like thanks for bringing up investments. I started investing like right after college, but I wish I had started more earlier because compound interest really helps to grow your money. So it's kind of like making money while you're sleeping. You don't really have to work for that money. So that's something that you can get into. So with respect to investing, the common investing methods are like you can buy stocks, you can buy mutual funds, or another interesting thing which I also engage in is cryptocurrency. So if that's something that you think is, you understand how the technology works and you want to invest in it, then I would say once you have a full knowledge, go for it. There is actually a meme that I saw on this. Like people who don't really understand anything and they invest, they also make money. People who understand fully and they invest, they also make money. But like people on the top who semi understand what they're doing have the most losses. So that's like one thing. Yeah. Any other questions? Are the internships more concentrated on third or fourth year, or can we do anytime? So there were a couple of internships which were only open for fourth year students, but I didn't really like mind the rules. I still applied for it when I was in my third year. I think the NTU India Connect program itself, I think maybe you can only apply in your third year or something like this, but I did the opposite of that. And it still works. So if there are like rules on the website, don't self-disqualify, apply and see.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi.
Hello, ma'am. First of all, I would like to thank you, ma'am, for coming for such a great session. And then secondly, my doubt was, ma'am, there are many edtech and fintech startups which are coming up on. And you mentioned the Portugal abroad program, right? I'm not wrong. So, ma'am, can you just, like, we being the very much new face to the corporate world, so how come we can just come up to a new nation and just come up with a startup so that we can get established enough? So, is there any, which yes, definitely there will be a struggle or something, but how we can just cope up with that? I know that.
Okay, so there are something called like accelerator programs where, so there's like two different types. There is like one which is like pre-seed programs and one without even an idea, they take you in. So in Singapore, if you see, there are accelerator programs like Entrepreneur First or Antler. And you have these accelerator programs pretty much in most countries. So you can apply for these accelerator programs and you don't really have to have like an experience or something. If you have like great projects with say 50K people use your app or 50K people use your product, that speaks for itself. Like you don't really need to have worked at XYZ company, or you don't really need to have XYZ degree from this Ivy League school. If you are able to show that you are building what people want, and you're not just saying that people want it, but like actual numbers show that people want what you're building. So this like speaks for itself, and you can apply for these accelerator programs. You can just put the key phrase like accelerator or startup incubator or startup accelerator program with the country you want to apply for, and just see. I'm sure in most countries you'll be able to see like 2 to 3 different pages of Google like full of links, so you can apply for these programs. The other thing is like with respect to visa. So you don't like I said, right, you like getting a H1B is not like the only option that's there. If you want to move to the US, you can also do a startup and move to US on an O1. Similarly, other countries also have like similar programs, and typically you would have already have to have some sort of established startup to go ahead with it.
Okay, thank you.
Can you share some time management and productivity tips? I don't know if I can, because sometimes I postpone things a lot and I do stuff in the last minute too. But with respect to productivity, I think I'm just more productive if I like what I'm doing. And I think it applies to everyone. If you don't really like what you're doing, you're gonna try to postpone it as much as possible and do it in the last minute. So with respect to time management, I mean, before I used to like really overwork myself. Like when I was at SRM, I mentioned, right, that I used to take up like all of these different part-time jobs and have no time for myself. I never used to like go to movies or meet my friends for a very, very long time. But I have kind of changed a bit more. Like now I value like my own me time, my own like time with my friends. So I allocate time so that my mind doesn't rot. So I take up like artwork, I take up like roller skating, I take up gymnastics, I take up all of these art activities, because if if I just start a day and the only thing I have planned for the entire day is to work on XYZ, I can be kind of sure that I'm not going to work on that the whole day. But if I have, like, say, skating in the morning and an art project that I have to finish in the evening, then I only probably have 3 hours in between each. Then I'll actually focus on those 3 hours. So I like to kind of keep extracurricular activities every day so that like my mind can continue to be creative.
On behalf of the entire department, I want to thank you for your intuitive presentation, and it was really subjective and informative. People definitely got a lot of information and inspiration from you. At your age, you have really done a wonderful job. You always brings a smile to the table. You are one of our iconic alumni. With the double thumbs up, wishing you all success in all your steps ahead.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Maanasa.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I have shared my contact in the chat in case you want to contact me. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Yeah.